All right, it's time to have some fun with Google Maps. Our goal is to render the map on the property page with the nearby roads and structures and a marker that represents the property's location. I'm looking at how we can load the Maps JavaScript API in our website. It has three methods. I'm currently checking out the inline loading method. If you like, you can click on the link in the lesson description to make copying and pasting a little easier. The inline loading method looks well suited for the Nuxt head method, so let's start there. As we learned earlier, Nuxt uses the head method to provide support for script tags, so let's recreate this code inside of our property page. Remember that we only want to use Google Maps on the property page, so it doesn't make sense to add it globally. Go ahead and open that now. Inside the head method, add another property called script with the value of an array. As you might expect, Nuxt uses this property to render script tags in your page. It uses an array of script objects. Remember in earlier lessons when we saved the Google Maps API key? Well, now's the time to dig it up. Keep in mind, during this course, I'll be using my own key, but remember to use your own. Inside the array, add an object with a property called src. This will be the script source. Next, let's copy and paste the URL from the documentation. Replace the API key with your own. To keep the JavaScript bundle small and efficient, Google only loads the minimum code needed to load the Maps library. Extra libraries can be added as needed. In our case, we'll be using Google Places too, so add the and symbol, libraries equals places. We don't need the callback parameter, so let's remove that for now. Remember that all of our tags must have an HID, so Nuxt knows how to keep them unique. Add a property called HID with the value of map. The documentation also wants us to load this as defer, so let's add that too. Defer asks the browser to parse the HTML document before loading the script. The script is downloaded asynchronously with the rest of the page content, then executed whenever it's ready. All scripts with defer are guaranteed to execute in the order they appear. Add a property with the name defer with the value of true. And save. When the Google Maps script is ran, it injects an object called Google into the global scope. We can see this right now in the browser console. Let's take a look. So far, it only has one property called maps. Let's expand that. Wow, that's a lot of stuff. Feel free to look around. When you're done, let's go back to the editor. Next up, we need a place to display the map on our page. We'll add a placeholder so that when the Google Maps script loads, it will fill this element with our map. In our template, under description, add a div with a height and width of 800. Google needs to know where this div is, so let's add a ref. Ref is a special Vue.js feature that gives an element or component a name so you can reference them directly. It's great when you need to modify the behavior of a component, or when outside scripts, like Google Maps, need to access an element that we need to use inside Vue as well. Add a property called ref with the value of map. Alright, we're almost there. Now we have to tell Google Maps what to draw. In our script section, create a new method called mounted. Mounted is a standard Vue lifecycle hook. It gets ran after the component is created and attached, or mounted to the document. In Nuxt, mounted is only ran client-side, so it's a great place to stick code that talks to client-side libraries, like Google Maps. If we try to access the window or document objects in the created hook, our server-side environment would explode, because it doesn't have a window or document object. Inside mounted, create an object called map options. As you may have guessed, this will be the configuration for our map. Next, add a property called zoom with the value of 18. Google lets you zoom from 1, which is the Earth view, all the way to 20, which is full detail. Next, add a property called center. This will be the latitude and longitude on the planet where the map is centered. The value will be a special Google Maps object just for locations. Inside that, let's use a lat long from our home object. It's under a property called underscore geolock. Next, we'll create our maps object. It takes two parameters, the reference to where the map will be drawn, and the map options. Let's add the map reference. Now, I should point this out, it's totally fine to use plain JavaScript instead of a view reference. All you had to do was change ref to ID, and then use document get element by ID inside this param. When I'm in Vue, I try to do things the Vue way, as much as I can, so I'll stick with ref. Next, pass the map options. Finally, let's save and check it out. Open your browser to the homepage and click on a property. Looks great. Now let's add a marker. The marker gets passed an object of configuration data, one of which is position. Create a new variable called position above the marker. Just like our center value, it takes the latitude and longitude of our property. Next, let's pass this position to the marker within an object. Nuxt uses a utility called Babel to turn modern JavaScript into something that's compatible with older browsers, so we can actually update this to the new shorthand version. Last, we need to attach the marker to our map instance using setMap. Save. And let's take a look. Wow, this is looking good. We really don't need the terrain selector or full screen option, so let's turn those off. Go back to your map options. Under Center, add a property named Disable Default UI with the value of true. This turns off all the default controls. Now, let's add zoom back in. And let's save. Perfect. Nice and clean. Well, you made it. That was a lot of steps, but now we have a map on our screen. But don't rest just yet. We still have to test it more and make sure it's good on more than just the first page hit.